The first time they picked it up, the technicians laughed. It was faint, a low murmur buried in the static between stars. A rhythm, almost musical, if you listened long enough. A joke, surely. Cosmic background interference. Something natural. But then it came again. Louder this time. More deliberate. A repeating pattern. The chief of signals, a stoic insectoid veteran who hadn't laughed in decades, finally hissed through his mandibles, "That's language." And the laughter died. At first, the council wasn't worried. Signals appeared all the time, rogue transmissions, pirate beacons, coded smugglers' chatter. This one was unusual, yes, but unusual things happened in the galaxy. It's probably some primitive species broadcasting nursery rhymes into the void, one delegate scoffed. They usually burn out before inventing plumbing. Ambassador Callan, the only human in the chamber, smiled faintly at that. He had that unnerving human habit of smiling in places no one else would. Like a knife concealed in a bouquet. "Nursery rhymes, you say?" he mused. "That would be adorable. Almost as adorable as thinking you're safe because you don't recognize the tune." The chamber went still. The signal kept coming. Louder. Closer. Scientists analyzed it. Linguists debated. Theories blossomed like mold. It was an ancient AI, a derelict beacon, a distress call from a long-dead empire. But then a young technician, wide-eyed and trembling, made the mistake of running it through an archaic earth filter. Music. Actual human music. Old. Crackling. Distorted. And when the council heard the lyrics translated, they didn't laugh anymore. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. The irony cut deep. The galaxy was built on war. Every empire in the council chamber had thrived on conquest, absorbed weaker neighbors, and called it progress. The very idea that some species would broadcast mockery of war into the void felt obscene. Dangerous. "It must be a relic," insisted the Varen delegate, feathers bristling in denial. No species could be so flippant about violence. Ambassador Callan sipped his tea, one eyebrow raised. "We do try to have a sense of humor about it. Helps with the stress, you know." A dozen alien eyes turned on him. "You mean, this is human?" "Ah," Callan said pleasantly, "you're catching on." Panic spread like wildfire. If humans were behind the signal, it meant one of two things. 1. Humans were broadcasting a taunt. 2. Humans weren't broadcasting at all. The signal was something else. A warning. Either way, it was getting closer. The council convened emergency sessions. Armadas shifted. Whole sectors went on high alert. But through it all, Callan remained maddeningly calm. When asked directly what the signal was, he tilted his head with polite confusion. "Wouldn't want to spoil the surprise. Besides, you'd never believe me if I told you." That was worse than an open threat. Because it wasn't bluster. It was truth. The first fleet sent to intercept the signal vanished. Sensors recorded their arrival, but their transmissions cut off in seconds. The only thing that returned was static. The second fleet fared no better. They fired blindly into the void, and for 3 heartbeats the council chamber listened to their frantic screams before silence claimed them too. Finally, one fragment of data trickled back. A visual. A ship. Enormous. Human design, though no human ship had ever been so large, so armed, so purposeful. Its hull bore the faint scratches of ancient battles, as though it had been waiting a very long time for this moment. And across its prow, in bold white paint, were words no alien could understand, until Callan translated with that same infuriating politeness. USS Knock Knock. The chamber erupted. "This is provocation. This is madness. You humans are declaring war." Callan only sighed, as though he were explaining manners to unruly children. "No, no. If we were declaring war, you'd know." This, he gestured lazily at the projection of the massive human ship, is just knocking on the door. Consider it a courtesy. Courtesy? The Ishar strategist roared. Well, yes. Where I come from, it's rude to barge into someone's home without knocking first. We're simply announcing ourselves. He leaned forward, lowering his voice into a velvet murmur. And now that we've knocked, it would be rude not to answer, wouldn't it? The irony burned them. The galaxy had mocked humanity as young, primitive, naive. And here they were, approaching with an unstoppable ship broadcasting music. Not threats. Not ultimatums. Music. As though violence was so trivial it could be accompanied by a soundtrack. The Council tried everything: diplomacy, threats, sabotage. They even attempted to jam the signal. But jamming it only made it louder, clearer. As if the humans wanted them to try. And then the real horror dawned. The signal wasn't coming from one ship. It was relayed. Spread. Each time they tried to trace it, new echoes appeared. Hundreds. Thousands. Like wolves howling in the night, circling the fire. The knock-knock was not alone. By now, paranoia reigned. Borders closed. Armies bristled. Empires accused each other of conspiring with humans. Trade collapsed. The galaxy spiraled toward chaos, and through it all, Callan remained unflappably polite. One evening, after 12 straight hours of screaming matches, he rose calmly from his seat. Ladies and gentlemen, you're missing the point. You keep asking what the signal means. But you're not asking the right question. The Chlorith speaker snarled. And what would that be, human? Callan's smile sharpened. You should be asking who it's meant for. The silence afterward was a living thing. Explain, the speaker demanded. Callan adjusted his cufflinks, as though bored. Do you know what happens when a predator announces itself to prey? The prey panics, stamps its feet, bolts in every direction. And when it runs... He let the sentence hang, savoring the dread. The real hunt begins. The realization struck them like a blade. The signal wasn't a threat. It wasn't even for them. It was bait. The knock-knock entered council space 3 days later. It didn't fire. It didn't even raise shields. It just drifted, broadcasting its ancient song, daring anyone to strike. And when someone finally did, the combined might of 3 empires, the ship vanished. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Simply gone. Seconds later, a dozen more signals lit up across the galaxy. Different songs this time. Old Earth classics. Another one bites the dust. Paint it black. Here comes the boom. Each one closer. Each one impossible to intercept. The galaxy teetered on the edge of hysteria. Alliances fractured. Civil wars erupted as species turned on each other, desperate to root out imagined human collaborators. Entire fleets mutinied rather than face the knock-knock's kind. And through it all, Callan strolled the halls of the council, polite as ever, offering tea to panicked ambassadors who recoiled from his smile. Finally, the Varen delegate confronted him, feathers ragged from stress. What do you want from us? Callan considered the question, as though it were the simplest thing in the universe. Peace, he said softly. The word hit harder than any weapon. They stared, disbelieving. Peace? You terrorize the galaxy, unleash chaos, and you call this peace? Callan's gaze was steady now, no humor left in it. Just the cold certainty of a predator explaining inevitability. Yes. Peace. The only kind that lasts. The kind enforced by fear so deep, no one dares break it. You've all built empires on blood. You've all enslaved, conquered, exterminated. And you never stopped, because there was no one to stop you. Until now. The chamber trembled with fury and fear. You humans are monsters, someone whispered. Callan gave a small, almost gentle shrug. Perhaps. But we're efficient monsters. And you'll thank us for it. And then came the twist. Because while the council was panicking about the knock-knock and its phantom signal, while they were tearing each other apart, humanity's true fleet had been moving. Not broadcasting. Not announcing. Just quietly, patiently, seeding itself across the galaxy. The knock-knock wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even the trap. It was the distraction. When the council finally pieced it together, it was too late. Human ships, thousands of them, sat hidden in the asteroid belts, the nebulae, the abandoned systems no one bothered to check. Waiting. Watching. Ready. And Callan, with that same unbearable politeness, delivered the final line that would echo through history. You kept asking what the signal meant. It meant we were closer than you thought. And now, we're already here. The signal cut off. The chamber drowned in silence. The deadliest silence the galaxy had ever known.